Imagine returning home after serving your country overseas, counting down the days until you could finally sleep in your own bed, only to discover strangers living inside your house. That's exactly what happened to Sergeant Miller. After a long, grueling deployment, all he wanted was a comfort and quiet home. But when he pulled into his driveway, he was met with the shock of a lifetime. A completely different family was hosting a barbecue on his lawn. Their children were running around with toys that definitely weren't his. Confused and furious, Miller approached them. The family looked just as stunned as he was. They explained they were legally renting the property and even showed him a signed lease agreement. The landlord listed on the document wasn't Miller. It was his Homeowners Association, the HOA, the very organization that was supposed to protect his neighborhood. Miller's blood started to boil. How was this possible? He had paid his mortgage on time every single month, even while deployed overseas. He had never missed a payment. Without hesitation, he headed straight to the HOA office, his military duffel bag still slung over his shoulder. He marched inside and slammed the lease agreement down on the desk of the HOA president, a smug man named Mr. Henderson. Miller demanded answers. Henderson, without offering the slightest apology, calmly explained that the HOA had declared the house abandoned. Abandoned? Miller could hardly believe what he was hearing. He reminded Henderson that he was an active-duty soldier serving overseas. He had even informed the HOA before deploying. Henderson simply shrugged. He claimed they never received any notice and pointed to the overgrown lawn and lack of visible activity as proof of abandonment. According to him, the HOA had the right to step in to preserve neighborhood standards. They had rented the house out to recover landscaping costs and various maintenance fees they had assessed against property. Miller felt anger surge through him. They weren't just managing his home, they were profiting from it. He was being penalized for serving his country. But he quickly realized arguing with Henderson was pointless. The man hid behind bylaws and technicalities like a shield. So Miller looked him in the eye and said calmly, "This isn't over. You've made a very big mistake." Then he walked out, his mind already racing. He wasn't just going to fight this. He was going to win. This was no longer just about a house. It was about principle. It was about justice for every service member who had ever been exploited. Back in a temporary motel room, Miller started making calls. He wasn't just any soldier. He was a sergeant, a leader. He commanded a platoon of loyal troops who respected him deeply. He explained the situation. The reaction was immediate and unanimous. They were outraged. They understood how demanding deployments were, and the thought of someone taking advantage of a soldier's absence was unacceptable. Their response was simple: "Sergeant, we've got your back." The next morning, the quiet suburban street where Miller lived experienced an unexpected awakening. One by one, then in a steady stream, private vehicles pulled into the neighborhood, parking legally along the curb. Out stepped Miller's entire platoon, 20 disciplined, physically imposing soldiers dressed in civilian clothes, but carrying unmistakable military presence. They didn't shout. They didn't threaten. They simply stood there, calm and unified. Some began doing push-ups in the nearby park. Others jogged together in perfect rhythm around the block. Neighbors peeked through blinds, their morning routines interrupted. Mr. Henderson stormed out his house, face flushed with anger. He began shouting about unauthorized assemblies and neighborhood regulations. Miller met him calmly on the sidewalk, holding a thick folder of documents. This time, he wasn't just a frustrated homeowner. He was prepared. "Good morning, Mr. Henderson," Miller said evenly. "This is my platoon. They're just here for some morning physical training. Completely legal." Henderson sputtered in protest, but Miller opened the folder. "What isn't legal," he continued, "is what you've done." He handed over a document. "This is the Service Member Civil Relief Act. It's federal law. It protects active duty personnel from foreclosure or seizure of property without a court order." Henderson's expression shifted. Miller continued, handing him more papers. "These are my bank statements, every mortgage payment made on time. And here's the email I sent notify your office of my deployment, including a read receipt." The color drained from Henderson's face. He was cornered. The soldiers stood silently nearby, witnesses to everything. You didn't just violate an HOA rule, Miller said firmly. You broke federal law. And everyone here can testify that you refused to return my property. Then Miller outlined his terms. First, the rental family would be relocated immediately, with the HOA covering all moving expenses and refunding their rent. Second, the HOA would reimburse every dollar collected from renting the house, plus interest. Third, the property would receive a full professional cleaning and any necessary repairs at the HOA's expense. Fourth, a formal public apology will be delivered at the next HOA meeting. Defeated, Henderson nodded. The legal consequences alone were serious, but the public humiliation in front of the neighborhood and a platoon of soldiers was overwhelming. Within 48 hours, Miller's house was vacant. The HOA issued him a substantial restitution check. At the next meeting, a visibly humbled Mr. Henderson stood and publicly apologized for his actions. The incident became a local legend, a warning to any HOA that considered taking advantage of a service member. Sergeant Miller finally returned home for good. Standing in his quiet living room, he felt a peace that had eluded him for months. He had fought battles overseas. Now he had fought one at home, and won. Sometimes standing up for what's right requires strength and resolve. And one thing you should never underestimate is a soldier determined to defend what's his. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. We'll see you next time.